All right, now that we've run our intersection, we're ready to answer the question of how much raccoon habitat falls within 30 meters of the Northwoods trails. Now, let's open up the attribute table. And we are going to open up this little guy up here called Field Calculator. We can also hit Control I to shortcut it. And what we're going to do is we are going to create a new field using this expression builder here. Looks a little bit like raster calculator. We're able to add in a bunch of mathematical operators or fields from the right here. We can add different fields here. We're going to create a new field. We're going to call it area. And let's call it area in meters squared because that's what we're going to be calculating here. This is a projected coordinate system in meters, so the output will be in meters. Our output field type, we want this to be in a decimal number. We want to have it as specific as possible. And what we're going to do is to calculate area, all you need to type into this expression field is $sign area. And click OK. This will now create a new field in meters squared for each of these features on the map. So we can see that Esme's habitat that overlaps with the red trail is about 39,000 meters squared. 39,000 meters squared doesn't really mean anything to my brain. I prefer to have this measured in acres or hectares probably. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to convert this to acres. And to do that, I'm going to open up our friend Google and search for square meters to acres to get a nice conversion. And I see that 1 square meter equals 0.000247 acres. I'm just going to copy this, Control C or Command C on a Mac, and come back over here. I'm going to open up Field Calculator again. And in Field Calculator, I'm going to create a new field, and this is going to be area acres. I'm going to make it a decimal number once again. And this time, I'm going to say I want to take the values in my area meters squared field and multiply times that number I just copied from the internet. All right, I'm going to hit OK. I now have area in acres for each of these. What I can do here is I can easily see by, for example, sorting by name, I can see Alan's home range habitat intersects with, just about 14, 15 acres. Esme's intersects with about 24 acres of trail. Margaret's much lower, just around 10 acres. Steve also about 10 acres of trail. So Esme definitely intersects with the most trail. Alan up next. If we want to see which trail has the most overlap, we could sort by color and sort of break it down this way. Blue, green, orange, red, and Spirit Trail. Looks like blue is kind of leading the charge here, followed by red, orange, green, and then Spirit. All right, after you create a new field, the last thing you need to do is click Save Edits. And then stop editing. Because when you run Field Calculator, you're actually editing the properties of that layer, and you need to save and stop editing to make sure that those changes that you've made apply. Okay, that's great, but we want to take it one step further. We want to generate some statistics summarizing that information rather than just looking at it in the table there. If I search for statistics, I'll get this statistics by categories tool under vector analysis. Now what this does is it allows you to summarize data based on categorical data within your attribute table. So I want my Northwest Raccoon Trail intersect as my input vector layer. I want to summarize area acres. I want statistics based on how many acres fall within each polygon. And then my categories would either be name or color. Let's start with name. I'm going to click OK. I'm not going to save this permanently. I'm just going to create a temporary layer for this one. I'm going to click Run. and then close. If I open the statistics by category, I can now see, summarized by raccoon, a number of pieces of information about my data set. So I can see here that Margaret intersects 3 times with different trails. And it's this sum field here that I'm most interested in. Margaret has the least amount of acreage intersecting our trails. And if we look at our map here, that kind of makes sense. Margaret's right here. She doesn't overlap with a bunch of trails. The raccoon overlapping the most trails is Esme down here. That kind of makes sense. There's a lot of trails down here, and she's right in the middle of all of them. Alan is up next, intersection with a bunch of these trails up here, followed lastly by Steve up in the top of our map here. So this is a great way to summarize your data sets based on categorical data. I'm just going to do this one more time for us. Open up statistics by categories, my input layer, my intersect field. My field to calculate statistics on, again, is that acres. And this time I'm going to do it based on the color of trail instead of the raccoon name. Click run. I'll close this. I'll now open up that attribute table. And I can now, sorting based on sum, I can see which trail overlaps with the least amount of raccoon home range. So that would be Spirit, orange, green, red, and then blue. So if I heard that there were reports of rabid raccoon somewhere out in Northwoods, and I still wanted to get my hike on, I would probably walk on the Spirit Trail, maybe check out the orange, knowing that I just have a little bit of overlap with Steve up here, but chances are I'm not going to be bump into one of the other raccoons. All right, hopefully that was useful getting to understand some of the area calculation tools and the summary statistics associated with them. See you soon.